Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. So, I got to tell you guys, I'm tired. Honestly, I feel exhausted. It's been a long couple days. It was a long weekend, and I feel fucking out of it. So, bear with me. I'm going to try my best to get through this episode. As I wanted to record, of course. I was like, nah, maybe I don't record today, but fuck that. Can't let this shit suffer just because I'm not feeling my best. And it's not that I'm feeling sick. I'm fucking exhausted. I think just emotionally, physically, I'm a little bit exhausted, but I think because of the emotional exhaustion, I'm feeling it physically. Like I can feel it like in the center of my chest. I feel like just out of it. Like if I laid down right now, I could just fucking stay there. Like to get out of bed today was a struggle. I felt like I literally had to peel myself off the sheets and just okay, let's fucking get today going, because it's I think just having to like face reality, and I know a lot of us kind of deal with that in different situations. Like I know my homies Jay and Sabrina right now. They just had their baby, and it's been a struggle, right? Like trying to acclimate to everything and just move time and move schedules and make things happen and feed the baby here and move this and move that, and it's rough, right? So they have their own things that they're kind of struggling with, and I know it's rough for them to be like, okay, let's get up, let's do shit. So we're all kind of dealing with something, right? Everybody has their different things that they're going through, different things that we all deal with, but I'm just fucking tired. 10 out of fucking 10. And it wasn't always like that. Like I think going into the weekend, I knew it was going to be a rough one, but I thought I was going to be all right. And thankfully, Rob was able to help me out with that as I had a little impromptu visit with him on Thursday. And we got to celebrate just the magazine because I hadn't seen him in a while. He had been sick, and just catch up, chill out. We got some Hawaiian food, got to watch some TV, and just enjoy each other's company. And we don't get to do it all the time. And I wish we could do it more. And I feel like that with so many people in my life. Like I wish I could spread my time and just kind of shift things. And I told myself that this year I was going to be better about it, especially when it came to work. Because a lot of the times, like my work is on the weekends, like if I'm shooting or something like that. And I don't want to put that first. And I know sometimes, obviously, I have to. But I also want to be better about like making time for people that I care for, making time for people that, that I love and that I want to see. And even during the week, right? Where it's like, not that I forget that I can do stuff during the week, but I feel like sometimes I do forget that. And it's easy to fall into that routine because so many people in my life, I think they also forget that too. And we're constantly trying to be like, oh, dude, let's get together Saturday, let's get together Sunday, rather than being like, yo, what are you doing tonight? Like, I know it's really last minute and I know it's random, but like, what are you doing tonight? Or what are you doing Tuesday night, Thursday, Friday? I don't know, something. And it's like we don't always have to live for the weekend, and I remember reading something about that too. It was really interesting. And it was just about the psychology of that, like how we fall into this routine, right? And we do the Monday through Friday, we work every day, you clock in, clock out type shit. Granted, I'm not on that schedule, but I feel that because I'm just constantly doing that on the daily. So I kind of do have a 9 to 5 in a sense. But we get so used to the routine of that and we forget about living life after that. And I know sometimes it's tough, right? Because you're tired. You finish up with work, you finish up with your day, and you don't want to do anything. But I also feel like the times where I do have plans during the week, it kind of gasses me up to get through the day. And no matter how tired I am, no matter how shitty of a day it was, or however I feel, like it doesn't matter. Because I'm going to see whichever one of the homies, or I'm going to spend time with people that I care for. And then that just kind of propels me a certain way. And then it even sets me up for the next day, right? Because I feel good. I got to see people I care for or someone that I care for. Wake up the next day and I'm in good spirits. I'm in a good one. And if something else comes up and it fucks up my day, then it's fine. It's totally fine. Like it doesn't even matter, So I need to be better about that. And I'm trying to be my best about that, I guess. But man, rough. So again, had my Thursday with Rob. Love that. Tried to gear up for Friday. And Friday was mainly just prepping for the weekend. I'm sorry I keep touching my eyes, you guys. I feel like I have something in my eye and I can't get it out. That's why I keep messing with it. But hopefully it doesn't bug me anymore. But yeah, Friday was just kind of gearing up for the weekend's madness. It was going to be my grandpa's 90th birthday. And all of a sudden, family's coming out of the woodwork. They want to be a part of his life. They want to celebrate him. They want to do certain things. And of course, the way I see it is like it's always easier to go somewhere, right? Like let's go eat. We'll go do something, whatever it may be. Because I feel like when you have stuff at your house, it's always a whole ass production, right? You got to prep stuff. You got to clean. You got to make sure you have everything so people can sit down, so people can sit and eat, or everyone has something to drink, just that whole thing, right? Basically, you're throwing a party and it's a whole ass production. So we ended up having a bit of everything. So Saturday morning, we ended up getting some breakfast with some family. First time that's ever happened for his birthday. Because again, I think because he's 90, I think like a lot of my grandpa's siblings have passed, and it's him and two sisters that are left, and there was quite a few of them. So I think everyone's they're starting to see it, right? But it also pisses me off because it's like he's been here the whole time. He's always been around, and like y'all have never given a flying fuck, and now all of a sudden that he's 90, you want to kick into gear and like fucking celebrate him, So I have a lot of thoughts about that, and whether some of them creep out in this podcast, who the fuck knows? I might just let shit breathe. We'll see. Depends how fucking fired up I get, and who knows? Maybe talking about it will get me there. But yeah. So Saturday we had breakfast with some people. Got to go home, and of course there was no relaxing, right? Like he got to chill out and do his thing. I was running around trying to get errands, grab the cake, grab food, grab this, grab that. I get home and, everyone's already here. Like people are starting to pour through the door and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. What's happening? And it was a day. It was a fucking day, right? Because we had the breakfast, we had that. We had a bunch of family show up for, I'd say, a good part of the day. Bunch of people left, and then more people showed up at night. So it was like broken into 3 parts. And I was just fucking spent. I think emotionally just the entire day it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, a lot to like bunch of conversations going on, talking with different people about different things. I have uncles that are like super political and they're talking about their shit, and I'm just trying to entertain them, listening like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Trying to talk to my cousin, one of my cousins that came down, got to chill with her, which was fucking awesome. Love her to death. And she's a total sweetheart, and she was a big help for Saturday. Because, she said something interesting. Because I feel like, she has her life together. She's doing her thing, and she's very mindful. She's always been that way. Her and her twin sister, I feel like they're very mindful. They're very thoughtful people. And it was funny because she came with her parents, and which is one of my grandpa's daughters. So, which those are her parents. So anyways, they pull up. She had a bunch of stuff. She brought like water, she brought soda, she brought snacks, like just like food, all kinds of things. And she's like, dude, the last thing I wanted to do is show up, because we didn't really know what the plan was, right? Like this was all kind of last minute, and we didn't know what you guys had or what was going to happen. So I told my mom and my dad, dude, how are we going to show up to the house empty-handed? And I was like, man, that's crazy, because for me, that's the way I was raised, right? Like you don't show up to somebody's house empty-handed. Like it's one thing if you guys are going to go eat and go kick back somewhere. I get that. But even if you're just going to the homie's house, pull up with a bag of chips, a bottle, something, whatever it is that you guys could use that day. Like you pull up, right? Like it's just custom. That's what you do. Like I don't know how to not do that. Even if it's the smallest thing, it doesn't matter. You show up with something. And she was like, yeah, dude. And my parents were just like, oh yeah, like we're just going to go. And she's like, no, we can't just fucking go. Like I get that we were invited, but the last thing we want to do, because we're kind of being like an inconvenience, right? Like all of a sudden you're having 15, 20 people plus show up at your house. The least we can do is try to help in some way and alleviate some sort of stress. Like, hey, here's a charcuterie board, or hey, here is some chips or some sodas or whatever it may be. So she's like, I just brought everything. And I was like, damn, like it just, that shit alone, because I didn't know who had brought everything, because I was still running around trying to get shit done. And all of a sudden there was just stuff out aside from what I had brought and like the food that I had ordered for catering. So I'm like, dude, this is crazy. But it was very interesting to see and just kind of see who showed up a certain way, who showed up empty-handed, who was like zero fucking help at all, and who just added to like the stress of the day. And it, like, you know what's funny is at night I had not an interesting conversation, but I had one of my aunts show up, and my grandma's like chilling right there, and she wasn't looking too good. Like, I think when my grandma gets really excited, she has certain conditions with her heart and just conditions in general that she's dealing with. Like, medically, my grandma's not in the best of places, and we do our best to kind of make sure that she's okay throughout the day and just kind of check on her and stuff. But not that she was doing anything on Saturday. She was very, very chill. Like, she was kind of laid back, but it was so much for her. I think that day was just so much emotionally, a lot to deal with her husband, with the family in general. So come the end of the night, I look at her and I'm like, you don't look too good. I'm like, sit down. Let's check your blood pressure. We check her blood pressure and it's through the fucking roof. I think it was like 223 or something of the other, which for a lot of people is really fucking dangerous. And for her, it's very fucking dangerous. So we took it a couple times. We administered her meds and took her to go so she can lay down. And it was funny because my aunt's like looking at her and she's like, oh, like why? She tells her in Spanish, but she's like, oh, why do you get worried? What's going on? She goes, oh, you just have to breathe. You just have to relax. And I looked at my mom and I looked at my aunt and I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, she just looked at me because I'm like, that it's so easy for people to turn around and tell somebody else, right? Like, dude, your blood pressure is through the fucking roof. Oh, for sure. Let me relax. I didn't fucking think of that. I didn't think that all I have to do is not think about any issues or not think about the problems or just what I was dealing with today. And let me just fuck off and like be okay. Oh, thank you so much for reminding me of that. Like, that's the last fucking thing anyone ever wants, right? When your peak of dealing with your bullshit and someone's like, hey, dude, just calm down. Just take it easy. It's okay. Just take a breath, just woosah. Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, those are the first fucking people you want to punch in the face. Like, don't tell me to calm the fuck down. And how common is that, right? Like, you hear that shit everywhere. You even see it in the movies, TV, whatever the fuck. Like, don't tell me to calm the fuck down. I'll slap the fuck out of you. Because that's just your immediate response to that. And my grandma's even looking at her like, bitch, how are you going to tell me to calm down? Like, I need my medication right now. Like, and granted, my grandma was dealing with a lot that day. Because my grandpa's a fucking terror. He is. He always has been. And it's a lot for her. And her having to deal with him and like his attitude and just the way that he is, the way that he treats her, it's a lot for her. And it takes a lot out of her. So Saturday, she was already spent. And I was really concerned about that. And immediately she went to sleep. So we're sitting there. We get to talk some more, kind of just not like diffuse the situation, but kind of shift away from that conversation with the family that was there and that saw what was going on. But my next thing was that Sunday we had more family, like more events to deal with for his birthday. So we go eat, we go chill out with family some more, like around, I think it was like around noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. And it was fine. But it was still just another thing to deal with. And for another person who is just very fucking ungrateful. And I think that's a big part of it from this weekend, right? It's because, look, when I do shit for people, I don't expect anything in return. Nothing. If I'm doing it for you or if I want to help you, it's out of the kindness of my heart. And I mean it. If I tell you like, hey, dude, whatever you need, just call me. Just tell me. I really do mean it because I want to help you. I want to help the people around me that I love and that I care for. But there are certain fucking people like this motherfucker that's like, dude, you can't even say thank you for anything. Hey, dude, thank you for everything. Thank you for what you guys did, for putting this all together. I appreciate you guys. You made my birthday special, whatever, XYZ. Nothing. So that was already tough, right? And then comes Sunday, same shit. No thank yous, no appreciations, not even to my grandma. For me, at least when I was in a relationship, and even outside of a relationship, but I'm speaking in a relationship sense because I'm talking about my grandma and my grandpa. But I remember when I was in a relationship, if my person was involved in anything and even just was a part of something, I always said thank you to them. Always. I was always very appreciative. I was always very loving and always very outspoken about that to them. Like, I never just kept it to myself, assuming that they would know and that they would understand that I was appreciative. Like, fuck that. It's the same thing like I always tell you guys. Tell people that you love them. Tell people that you care for them. Say these things out loud. Assume motherfuckers don't know. Tell your homies that you love them. Tell them that you appreciate them. Tell them that you care for them. Look at your partner. Tell them the same fucking thing. Tell them that you love them, that you appreciate them. Thank you for doing everything that they do. All of that. Don't ever not fucking say something, because there's going to be a day where a situation that comes up and you're going to sit there and you're going to fucking regret it. It's not that hard. Just to say thank you. Say I appreciate you and things like that. And like for myself, even when I'm at the store, like let's say I'm getting some groceries, right? And I'm packing up the groceries. I love bagging my own groceries. It's a thing for me. Like it's cool. I love that. And I love like organizing shit. And I feel like Tetris, you know what I mean? And if one of the people who like helps to put everything in the bags, they come through and they're like, hey dude, let me help you out. I'm like, oh, for sure. Give them an extra bag. They put stuff away for me. I'm like, hey dude, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate you. And they always look at me kind of weird. Like, and it makes me sad because I'm like, you're looking at me like that because people don't fucking tell you that. But I appreciate you. Like, I really do. Thank you. Like, I know it's your job and I know that, but you could be doing 1,000 other things and you see me and you're like, I'm gonna help this fool out. And even if I tell you I got it and you're like, no, it's cool. I got you. And I'm like, all right, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's those little things. And I feel like so much of that is missing nowadays. People have just kind of forgot it and they've just fucked off with all of that. Like manners, common sense, like all that shit has gone way the fuck out the window, and it's, people will chalk up, especially things like with the way that my grandpa acts, like, oh, dude, it's because he's old, da da da. I'm like, dude, being old doesn't give you an excuse to be a fucking asshole. It does not, by any fucking means. I know so many people that are in his bracket, in that 80s, 90s, mid 90s. And it's like, dude, they're happy. They are so thankful to be here. And they're so they feel so blessed to just be in the position that they are, still breathing, still have their health. Even if it might be a little rough, they're like, I'm still here. I'm still pushing. I love life. I love this. I love that. I love the people in it. So when I see people like him just ungrateful as a motherfucker and that make the people around him suffer, and it's like, you don't do anything to alleviate that, like, it bothers me, right? So all of that shit boils down and it falls and I guess overflows onto my grandma. And she is very empathic. So she feels a lot of what people feel. Like if you tell her something, if you kind of put that vibe out there, she'll pick up on it right away. She'll look at you and say, hey, is everything okay? Or what's wrong? Or I don't know, you seem a little different, or what's up? So I always have to be very careful, even on my most stressful days, like that she doesn't see that. Because I have to remain that pillar, right? Like that level or that thing of stability, right? So my mom and I, the whole weekend, had to keep a smile on, had to keep it cool. No big deal, right? Because that's the last thing we want, is like to affect her in that way, or for something to happen and for it to be our fault. And even though it might not directly be our fault, it's like, we didn't have to act that way. We didn't have to put that sort of emotion on display. And we did. And she saw that and she caught it. But this motherfucker, you know what I mean? He acts a certain way, talks a certain way, treats her a certain way, despite everything that was done for him. So we already knew her blood pressure was going to be high Sunday. So come Sunday night, we check it again. That shit's through the roof again. We administer the meds. Cool. She knocks out, whatever. Come Monday. I think Monday was a big day. But even coming before Monday, I want to talk about something really quick that went down Sunday. And some of y'all probably already know where I'm headed with this shit. And then we're going to get into Monday because it kind of segues into that. But it was funny because Sunday, right, you had the whole TikTok ban and bullshit. And it was only for a couple hours, but it was insane. And like, I'm not even going to say low key, because it was actually extremely, in my eyes, it was extremely embarrassing to see how people reacted to that. It was like, I'm not going to go as extreme as saying like people were losing their fucking kids, but it was almost like that. Like, it was just like, oh my God, it's a fucking app. Like, who gives a shit? Okay, you're not going to get your recipes. You're not going to get your tips and your tricks. It's just fucking dumb. Like, people were literally losing their fucking minds over an app. And then now you got phones that have the app for sale on eBay that are going for $10,000 plus. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's the fucking point that we've come to. People are so reliant, and it's like, this is their fucking world. And this shit runs you. It runs fucking people. It's got you by the throat, right? This shit crashes, the world crashes. It's like, who gives a fuck? It's all a ploy, dude. It's all a bunch of bullshit. And everybody, I'm not gonna say everybody, a lot of fucking people. A lot of people, they fucking give into that shit. I even had one of my cousins Saturday night that was like talking about, oh, dude, you know, my wife's just trying to take in as much videos and get all the things that she can before TikTok goes away. And I'm like, who gives a fuck? Like, in my eyes, maybe I see it that way because I don't use TikTok. I did for a while, like here for the podcast, and I would put up, when I would do like my little clips, right? When I would take bits and pieces from the podcast or just advice or like little bits of wisdom, and I would take them, chop them up, and put them up on there. And like, that was cool, but it wasn't really worth it for me. Like, I wasn't really seeing the return or like the interactions and stuff. And like, it was all right. It was cool. But I was like, fuck this, dude. I didn't even want to be on the app. I just felt like I had to, because it's like, that's just what you do from a business standpoint. Like, you're supposed to be engaged. You're supposed to be in this part of the world. And like I've told you guys before, I'm not the biggest social media person. Like, I could easily do without it. Easily fucking do without it. I could give a shit about it, but I need it for my business. So right now, like, I stay on Instagram. That's my sole number one. The one that comes right after that is YouTube, which is cool because obviously I get to share these videos with you guys in full length, 4K, all the fucking things. And it's tight. Like, I do like it. Like, I do fuck with the YouTube space, and it's cool. But none of this shit runs my life. And I never wanted to get to that point. And it was really fucking sad to see how people were reacting. And then the way everything went down, like on Monday, right? Because Monday was a big day. We had our fucking president's inauguration, which was a trip. People were just wilding out, right? You had all these people all over the fucking place that are on just different sides of the coin. And it's like, well, look, dude, this is where we're at. This is what's going to go down. And look, it's like, we're not going to get into the politics of it. I'm not going to start breaking all this shit down. We're not going to talk about any of it because that's not what this podcast is. And it's not going to be. Like, I don't plan to talk about shit like that. Like, if I'm having a conversation with a guest or something like that, we can talk about it. I'm not against it. I don't mind sharing certain things or talking about whatever views or whatever. But for me to sit here and talk to you guys about it, that's not what this fucking shit is. And that's not what, I don't ever want it to turn into that, right? Like, I think there's too many podcasts and too many things and too many people sharing their opinions right now and just kind of going on about it. And that's fine. It's a public space. You can do whatever the fuck you want on any social media. That's great. But me personally, I'm not going to put in my fucking 2 cents. And at the same time, I had way more important shit to worry about. And then that's how we get into what went down on Monday. So on Monday, that I noticed with my mom, I was like, hey, dude, grandma's she's not looking good. Like, something's up. We had checked her blood pressure and it was normal. But I'm like, man, she looks way the fuck out of it. And I don't know, again, if it had just been kind of everything adding up from the weekend. And it you know, sometimes I feel like you go through so much for, let's say, days at a time or whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden it just kind of manifests out of nowhere. And it can manifest in different ways, you know, physical ailments, just emotional pain, and you're just kind of like, fuck, dude, just fatigue in general. And we're like, I don't know, man, something's up. So we call her doctor's office, and we had been trying to get an appointment, which was a whole issue in itself. Shouts to Kaiser for that. Eventually, we end up getting we get on the phone with a nurse, and the nurse is like, all right, what's going on? What are you guys trying to get an appointment for? How can I help you guys right now? Like in this moment. I said, cool, let's fucking run it. Let's talk about it. We start going through symptoms, going through certain things. We check her blood pressure on the phone, still normal. She starts asking my grandma a couple questions. And so she's like, look, she tells my grandma that she's all done with her. We walk away. My mom and I walk away. We have the nurse on the phone, speakerphone. And she's like, all right, look, I don't want to freak her out, but I'm going to tell you guys, like, it would be best if you take her to the ER right now. And this was around 1 in the afternoon. So I looked at my mom. I said, all right, straight. So go down and tell my grandma, hey, you know what? We're going to take you to the doctor really quick and just going to get you checked out. That's it. Because we don't want to tell her where we're taking her, because you almost have to treat it like a kid, right? Like she's affected by the smallest things. So the last thing we want to do is be like, oh my God, we got to take you to the ER. Like, no, we just thought, hey, we're going to take you really quick. They're going to check you out. It's cool. No worries. We get her ready, take her. And that started everything up until last night, basically. So we were there as long as we could be. And since I only let one person into the ER with with the patient, so my mom was with her. And I was over here taking care of my grandpa, making sure he eats, takes his meds, all his bullshit, So she was there from Monday night and didn't get out until yesterday afternoon, like late yesterday afternoon. And it, like, for me, it's like, that's where my fucking head's at. My head is on my fucking family. Like, yes, I took my computer to the hospital on Monday. Yes, I was sitting there working at the hospital. And it felt weird almost, but it's like, I have to keep going, right? Like, I have to keep pushing regardless of the situation. There's nothing I can do. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. She is exactly where she needs to be, and there's nothing I can do. So all I can do is sit here and be supportive. And if they need something, I'm right here. So I'm sitting there doing my work, doing my thing. But this whole like presidency and the inauguration and social media and all this bullshit and what's going on and fucking Elon doing this and so saying that, like, I think we all have to fucking realize everybody has their own worlds that they're living in, right? And everything's fucking crashing around you. Everything. All kinds of shit. The world's on like in a fucking frenzy. Here in California, we got fucking fires going on. Like today, another one broke out in Castaic. And it's fucking moving fast, right? Like the winds aren't what they used to be, which is fucking great, because if they were, it'd probably be a hell of a lot worse. But it's still spreading. It's moving. Shit's going down. Evacuations are being, put into place. So it's like everything's fucking insane all over the place. But I can't do anything about it. The way I see it is my own world is wild enough, and I feel like I can't even get a grip on that a majority of the time. So if I'm not okay, if my immediate world is on fire, how the fuck am I going to worry about anything else? So, oh, hey, dude, did you see this? No, bro, like, no. Let me hit you back. I'm at the hospital right now. Oh, what's going on? Bro, I'll explain later. I got people texting me, hey, dude, what's up? I got people sending me just random texts about bullshit. And granted, people don't fucking know what I'm dealing with, right? They don't know that I'm at the hospital for my grandma. They don't know that shit's kind of serious right now. They don't understand that. And it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault. So if you've hit me up in the last couple of days and I just haven't responded, it's not because I'm fucking ignoring you. I just got bigger shit to deal with. I got things that are in front of me that just need my fucking attention, and I don't have the bandwidth. And I feel like we as people have to be better about communicating certain things, or even just kind of setting that, how would you say, that boundary where it's like, dude, if you text me and I don't respond right away, don't get felt about it. I just don't have the fucking time. I don't have the bandwidth to sit here and respond to maybe a paragraph or 2 or 3 or 10 that you've sent in the last couple of days. I don't have that. Have I received that? I have. Are these messages still fucking pending a response? They are. And it's like, it is what it is, man. Like, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. I got way too much shit on my plate right now that I'm dealing with that needs my attention. It needs my love. It needs my everything. Right? So when your world is on fire, you got to get a grip on that. And then once you get a grip on that, then I think you can kind of start to open your eyes and to remove the blinders and look at everything else. And I'm not saying be completely turned off to all that shit, right? Like some things you got to kind of, what would you say? Just like keep an ear out, Say, all right, that's what's going on right now. Okay, this is what's happening. Okay, but I got to take care of this. All right, but what's going on? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. But once I handle this shit, I'll deal with all that, or I'll see what's up with that. So that's kind of how I felt. I've been overwhelmed. It's been too fucking much, but it's all right. We're pushing, we're moving, we're trying to make shit happen. We're trying to figure things out. Like, I feel like it's just like I was talking about on Monday, right? Like, I'm working at the hospital. Work doesn't stop. Like, things have to continue. Shit has to keep going, right? Because it's like, if I stop, what the fuck is gonna happen? Everything else starts to fall apart, and it's like, I can't let that happen. And I know a lot of you understand what that is, right? Like, when one thing falls apart, it's like you have to keep it moving. And I get it. You can feel like it's a lot, but life doesn't give a fuck if it's a lot or not. Nobody, the universe, nobody gives a fuck what's happening to you or whatever's going on, because it's just gonna keep dropping shit. And it's funny because I'll have homies that go through it and they'll experience dumb shit. Like, oh, dude, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not one thing, I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, life doesn't give a fuck, man. Like, look at the situation, what you got to do with it, right? And just do it. Rather than talk about it, rather than bitch about it, fucking do something about it. That way you can get some fucking results and you can make some shit happen. Because I feel like even for myself, sometimes you got to just have that like nut up fucking attitude. And it's like, all right, well, shit, let's go. Let's do. Let's make, right? Because if you don't have that sort of get at it mentality, all that other shit is just gonna wash over you. And it's rough. And I hate that. I hate being in that mental space where I have to push through, where I have to do stuff like that. But it's cool. We all kind of face it. We all run in it. Whether you have kids, there's certain things you don't want to do and you gotta fucking do it. Whether you have your responsibilities in your own life, you don't want to fucking do it, and that's the shit you signed up for, then so fucking be it. Today I had a call with one of my buddies, and he's like, hey, bro, I just wanted to check in on grandma. I said, yeah, dude. Hey, she's all right. She's stable right now with XYZ, changing her medication, all this bullshit. I was like, what's good with you? He's like, man, I feel like shit. It's been rough. He's in finance. His company's in like closing period right now. So they're just closing up books for this quarter, getting things together, doing all this. And he's stressed the fuck out. And he goes, bro, the funny thing is, he's like, I signed up for this shit, right? Like I put myself in this position. I wanted to do finance. Here the fuck I am. He goes, I almost feel like it's like being a tax person and complaining about tax season. Like, you knew what the fuck it was and you knew what you're getting into. And I was like, yeah, man, I hear you. He goes, dude, sometimes you got to just fucking truck through. And it's funny, right? Because that's kind of what, I'm not saying what today's podcast is about, but I think that's a big part of it. Is just kind of pushing and trucking through it. But you also have to be aware of the dangers of it too, because look at my grandma. And I'm not saying she kind of adopted that mentality, but I feel like that's kind of what was pushing her through the weekend. And feeling and having to deal with certain things and just the emotional toll that it took on her. And unfortunately, it manifested a certain way, right? And that's what landed us in the ER on Monday and for the last couple of days. So you got to take care of yourself. You got to figure things out. Like, balance it as much as you can. Look at it as much as you can and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to break this shit down. And that's it, because that's all you can do. So I was trying to think of some advice just with everything that I've been kind of dealing with things. And I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck can I say? And this is what I found. You aren't missing out on anything when you're busy working on your goals and when you're busy working on your dreams. And where you'd probably say, well, what the fuck does that have to do with anything that you're talking about? Look, everybody has different goals. Everybody has different dreams. And for me, my goals are almost daily. So for me, the last couple of days, my goal was my grandma. She was my main thing. It's like, okay, how do I get her to be okay? How do I stabilize her every day, making sure that she's good, right? And my dream in that sense was just like for things to kind of mellow out, things to kind of level to some extent. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it's like, that's what I need, right? Like, I feel like when people think about goals and dreams, they think about the big time, where they want to be at career-wise, where they want to be 5 years from now, shit like that. I'm talking about the right fucking now. So I have my goals, I have my dreams, I have my things that I'm working towards. And no matter what, I have to keep working towards that. I have to keep pushing. And I was busy on that. And it didn't matter what the fuck I was missing out on, right? inaugurations this, social media that, whatever the fuck here, whatever the fuck there. None of that shit matters. It's all noise. My focus is my family. My focus is my career. And I had to put those things right then and there, right? So it's like, okay, get my grandma stabilized, do what I got to do here. Next up is work. Get this stabilized, do what I got to do here. Okay, straight. Keep it walking one step at a time. And that's all I got. But I just felt like this was super fitting. And again, I wanted to explain that because I'm sure if I would have just said it like that, you'd be like, what the fuck? Where did all this come from? Or what does it have to do with anything? It has to do with everything. So just remember that. Make the time and prioritize the things that you need to prioritize. And don't ever apologize for that. If the people who care, the people who understand, they get it. If you need your time away, you need to step, you need to do what you need to do, go fucking do that shit. Prioritize that shit. Make time for yourself. Make time for the people in your life that you love and that you care for. Because when moments like this kind of come around, you sit there and you're like, all right, I'm glad I did what I had to do. And I'm glad I prioritized these things over those things. Because clearly that shit is over there for a reason. Because if it really meant something and it needed your time, needed your love and your attention, it would have been right here in the forefront. But it's not. So that's the way I took it. And that's the way I'm taking it. Like, I just have to keep on that same fucking mentality. And that's what I'm trying to do for the year. That's what I want to do for 25 is prioritize that. Prioritize myself, my family, my career. But in a healthy way. Right? Like, know when, where, and how to kind of put things and where to organize things like that. Because I feel like I kind of had somewhat of a grip on it, but I wasn't able to kind of put things in their places. I just kind of knew what everything was. But now I'm trying to be a lot more organized, trying to be better with my time, my energy, just manage it better, you know? So I hope that you guys were able to take something from this episode. I hope it kind of sparked something. Again, as I always tell you guys, tell the ones around you that you love them, tell them that you care for them, spend your time, be aware of that, know where you're putting your energy, know where you're putting your love, because that shit always comes back to you. What you put out into the world, what you put out into the universe always comes back. And I'm not saying to do it with that in mind, but just remember, when you kind of radiate that sort of good, you radiate that positive, that love, the things that people in the world need, it's always going to come back to you. And it's always going to have your back. No matter what you're going through, no matter how you feel, always put that vibe out there. Because when push comes to shove and when shit really hits the fan, that's where it's going to show up. You know? So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for always supporting this podcast in any way that you do, whether you watch it, you listen to it, however, I appreciate y'all. And thank you so, so much. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your week, an incredible weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next one.